I was hired to clean out a hoarder's mansion after she died in the basement. I found 300 identical wedding dresses and a wall of photographs showing the same man marrying different women across 5 decades. The listing seemed straightforward. It taught a clean out, large home, deceased owner, no family experience with hoarding situations preferred. As someone who specializes in the delicate work of clearing out homes after difficult situations, I've seen plenty of strange collections, rooms full of newspapers, hundreds of dolls, even an apartment packed with nothing but empty egg cartons. But nothing prepared me for Eleanor Blackwood's mansion. From the outside it was the picture of New England elegance, a sprawling Victorian with perfect landscaping and freshly painted shutters. The lady was a different story, not the chaotic mess you typically expect from hoarders, but something far more unsettling. Immaculate organization of deeply disturbing collections. The main floor contained thousands of men's watches arranged by brand and style, none appearing worn. The second floor held dozens of identical guest rooms, each with the same blue bedding and a man's shaving kit laid out as if expecting a visitor. The third floor was filled with filing cabinets containing what looked like surveillance reports, detailed accounts of men's daily activities spanning decades. It was the basement that made me call the police, down a spiral staircase behind a door requiring both a key and a keypad code. The executor had provided both. I discovered what could only be described as a museum of matrimony. 300 wedding dresses hung in perfect preservation, each identical, same designer, same style, same size. They lined the walls of a room larger than my entire apartment. At the center stood a mannequin wearing another copy of the same dress, surrounded by wedding accessories, veils, shoes, bouquets, all perfectly preserved and duplicated multiple times. But it was the far wall that turned my blood cold. Frungers of wedding photos, meticulously framed and arranged chronologically from 1970 to 2018 each, showed the same man at different ages, marrying different women. The earliest showed him as a handsome young man in his 20s. The latest, taken just 3 years ago, showed him as an elderly gentleman in his 70s. The brides were all different faces, heights, body types, races, but they all wore the exact same dress, the one repeated hundreds of times throughout the basement. I was still staring at the photos when I noticed something even more disturbing. In the background of each wedding photo, barely noticeable unless you were looking carefully, stood Eleanor Blackwood. Sometimes she was disguised as a server, sometimes a guest, once even as the officiant, but she was there watching in every single picture. The police arrived within 20 minutes of my call. As I showed the detective around, his face grew increasingly grim. "Do you know who this man is?" I asked, pointing to the groom in the photos. "Unfortunately, yes," he replied. "Richard Keller, wealthy investment banker, married and widowed 7 times. Each wife died of apparently natural causes within a year of marriage. He inherited everything each time 7. I gestured to the wall of photos. "There must be at least 50 different brides here." The detective nodded slowly. "We've been investigating Keller for years, but could never find enough evidence. His wives' deaths always seemed natural: heart failure, stroke, aneurysm." As forensics teams arrived and began cataloging the basement, they discovered a hidden room behind a false wall. Inside were medical supplies, various unmarked bottles, and a journal detailing methods of inducing symptoms that mimic natural deaths. The journal was written in Eleanor Blackwood's precise handwriting. Over the next few weeks, the truth emerged through Eleanor's meticulously kept records. She hadn't been stalking Richard Keller. She had been his accomplice for nearly 50 years, helping him identify wealthy women, orchestrate chance meetings, and eventually eliminate them after marriage. The dresses weren't trophies, they were props. Part of a carefully crafted image Keller presented to each new target. Eleanor had kept records of everything: the women's names, bank accounts, causes of death, and Keller's profits from each marriage. According to her journals, their arrangement was simple. She helped him find and eliminate wives, and he provided her with financial security and the promise that she would be his final bride once they had accumulated enough wealth, a promise he never intended to keep. Eleanor's own autopsy revealed she had died from the same untraceable toxin described in her journals administered. According to her final entry during a celebratory dinner with Keller after his most recent wife's funeral, Richard Keller was arrested at his country club 3 days after my discovery. When police searched his current home, they found wedding invitations for his upcoming marriage to a wealthy widow he'd met at a charity gala just 2 months earlier. The executor, who hired me later, revealed that Eleanor had left specific